Hello and welcome to the Art of Selling Online Courses. The goal of the video podcast is to share winning strategies and secret hacks from top performers in the online course industry. And today's guest is Mark Webster, one of the co-founders of Authority Hacker, and they create actionable education for website owners. Now, Mark got his start in online marketing, tinkering with AdSense campaigns and creating ClickBank products back in 2008. And after growing and selling a successful agency, him and his business partner, Gail, started their own portfolio of authority sites. And then they started Authority Hacker, where they teach other people how to start and grow content websites. And they run a weekly podcast. They've got over 250 episodes, and they've got multiple high ticket info products. Now, before we start learning from Mark, I want to mention our sponsor. And the Art of Selling Online Courses is brought to you thanks to my company, Data Driven Marketing. And we help online course creators to increase their course revenue by 20 to 100% through strategic funnel optimization. So go to datadrivenmarketing.co/calculator to find out how much more you could be making from your courses with the ideal funnel. So Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So tell people a little bit about Authority Hacker and the courses that you're selling. What kind of courses have you got?
We have two main products. One is for, I would say, more advanced website owners, people who are already making, multiple 4, low 5 figures per month, and they want to grow their website further. That course, Authority Hacker Pro, it's called. It's a modular course, 17 different blueprints or modules in there. And they can vary from sort of an hour to maybe 6 or 7 hours in length each one. So they're quite detailed. And it just covers all aspects of running a web from like a marketing perspective. So that could be, how to do link building, and there's various different link building strategies. It could be how to hire a content team, how to do sort of on-page SEO, technical stuff, everything else in there. So as we had that course, that was the first course we created. We love the kind of advanced, complex stuff. We had a lot of people join that who didn't have websites or were just starting their journey. And that course wasn't really so well suited for them. So there's incredible demand for us to create a beginner's course as well. So how do I get into this? How do I plan a site? How do I get it off the ground? So we created a separate course called the Authority Site System for that, which is more of a hand-holdy, beginner, linear, start to finish course. So those are the two products we've had, and we've been running them both. We ran Authority Hacker Pro for about 5 years now, and the Authority Site System for 3.5 years, I think.
And with the Authority Hacker Pro, is it something where you've got a community and like a Facebook group, and you're answering lots of people's questions? Is it just a course? How does that work?
Oh no, there's a huge community. Both of them have their own separate communities.
Okay.
They're Facebook groups, and there's like 3,000 something members in the TAS one, and 2,500 or something in the Authority Hacker Pro one. And so they're super active, actually. We spend really quite a lot of time in making those communities good.
Nice.
We have processes in place. So, we have people going through and making sure that questions aren't left unanswered, and that everyone gets the support they need. It's especially important from the beginner's course, because a lot of people, feel a bit lost and stuff. So we put a ton of effort into doing that. And interestingly, I'm not sure if this is maybe the best business decision, but our courses are all one-off fees. So you pay, there's payment plan options as well. But once you finish paying, that's it. You're in for life, and you get all the updates for free for life. The downside of that from a business perspective is that we don't get to make more money off of the existing people. But I think because we haven't gone at it from like too much of a commercial perspective, it's meant that the community's like been really good. And a lot of people have been there for many years now. We don't kick people out because they don't renew for a year or anything like that. So that's allowed us to kind of just keep growing those communities over time, and just make them really good. I think there's this saying with courses, people come for the content, but stay for the community. I really feel that that's kind of the case with what we've done with ours here.
It's really interesting. As different people have got different models on that. And I know Sam Ovens kind of teaches people about creating and building these courses and selling them and what have you. And he's like, charge people once, and then that's it. They're in for life. And then other people are like, I really want the recurring income. The recurring income's where it's at, and there's pros and cons to each of them. Do you ever feel like you might change your mind on that? You ever like, maybe we will start putting a recurring income thing on it as well? Or are you like, no, this is the model for us, this works?
So I think it's quite well documented that a launch-based model where you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket tends to generate you more revenue. The recurring revenue kind of membership style of selling a product, it's more about stability, so that if one launch goes wrong or something happens, it doesn't completely mess things up. And some people just have a psychological aversion to, not making much money all the year, and then in 1 month they make everything. It's, I've been there. It's challenging. How we've kind of got the best of both worlds is that we put a strong emphasis on payment plans for Authority Hacker Pro. So we actually position the payment plan as the primary way of paying. And then, just below it, there's a little line, or save X dollars and pay in full today. So people still have the option. But because we have that and our payment plan is 12 months, it means that, and we do several launches a year for AH Pro, it means that because we've been doing it for a year and a half now with this model, that we have a lot of recurring revenue. Just, we have to keep doing a launch every 6 months to keep it up, but that has massively stabilized our income, and it's given us a nice security cushion there.
And what's the prices on the two products? The Authority Hacker Pro is the advanced one, right? How much is that?
So at the moment, it's $2,500. Now we started this in 2015. It was a year, something like that. And then since then, we've just increased the price every single year, basically. We changed the model a little bit. It's not so much a monthly thing anymore. And what's been really interesting with that is that every time we've increased the price, it's had no negative effect on demand. And I don't mean like it's kind of canceled out. I mean, like, if anything, we make more sales because people seem to value it as a more expensive, higher product. And, there's an element of, because we're selling it for so much, it's kind of forced us to put more effort and put more content and do more cool things in there. So it's maybe a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy in that way. But yeah, I come across a lot of other course creators who are trying to, make more money, and usually they're focused on getting more traffic in at the top of the funnel. But actually, if you just, increase your prices tomorrow, you double your money, and doesn't really affect demand much.
Yeah, we've got a client I was just talking with this morning, and he's got a Tripwire funnel running. So it's not a huge revenue driver, but he 10 times the price on the Tripwire itself, and sales went down by 25%. Okay, that more than counters it.
It's incredible how inelastic demand is for online courses. That's why I think it's such a great business model.
So it's $2,500 for the Pro one, and how much is the beginner level one?
So we sell it for $1,000, $997 front end. So you can go on our site and buy it now. But we have, and I'm happy to go into details about this, we have a pretty complex discount funnel. We use deadline funnels to offer actual scarcity based discounts to people. And so if you watch the webinar and you get that discount, it's $599 at the moment. But that price has actually been the same for like 3.5 years, and we need to put it up soon.
If someone goes to your site, I know that you've got like a free training that comes up straight away, right? It's like your main thing. Yep. So, and that's a webinar, and you're doing that with EverWebinar.
Correct. Yeah.
What do you sell at the back of that? That's the beginner level course, is it?
That's the Authority Site System. Yeah. So people go through that. There's like a 1 hour value, and it's outdated. It's actually something we're just about to refilm, but it's still good stuff. We really try and put as much actionable value stuff in there as possible. Then after someone goes through that, there's an active campaign sequence that triggers where they get offered a discount from $997 to $599. And that's a 4 or 5 day sequence, something like that. And then after that, the price really does go up. And using deadline funnels technology, it tracks like their IP, their email address, and I think it cookies them as well. So it's not like this, fake discount that you hit refresh and the counter goes back to the top. We kind of hate that stuff, but it's still effective to offer it. So that's the start of the funnel.
I find deadline funnels so amazingly good that sometimes it really pisses me off. If I'm doing work for a client and we've got deadline funnel and it like puts the price back up, I want to go and look at a page and I can't see this page because it'll redirect because deadline, but I'm on a different computer and I'm using a different internet. How do you know? It's amazing how well it works.
We have that problem all the time with affiliates who are promoting people through this part of the funnel. And especially if we have some other kind of like Black Friday sale or something, and someone's been through the funnel, one of their customers of the affiliate has been through the funnel and like they see something different and they think that our funnel's broken. I had a situation recently where I explained exactly how deadline funnels worked to a guy who's a web developer. And he still went in and he had to check it all out. And he sent me an email back saying, I didn't do what you were saying because it sounds like so far-fetched that there would be technology that actually does that. But I checked it out and yeah, you're right.
I think Jack Bourne, the guy who started Deadline Funnels, kind of a genius. Like I've heard him on a few different topics. He used to work with Perry Marshall and he invented that system, the traffic conversion economics model that Perry Marshall teaches, which is amazing. I just absolutely love it. And I've heard him talk about some email marketing stuff. He's very humble sounding, but he's kind of a genius. I love it. Okay, so somebody goes there, they go through to the webinar. Do you have email sequences in place if someone registers but they don't watch it or they watch part of it? Have you got like different sequences?
Yeah, so we broke down into, I think we have 5 categories. So if they register but don't show up, if they show up, quit in the first 5 or 15 minutes, and then if they see through, if they leave before the offer is pitched, or if they stay to the very end or past when we pitch the offer, then they get slightly different sequences. But I think it's just the next email that they receive is different. And some people, for example, if they didn't see the webinar, they'll get sent the replay as the main focus of that email. But if you saw the full webinar and got to the offer, you'll get just the kind of pitch again. So it's slightly tweaked, but as much as possible, we try not to have a gazillion permutations of how people can go through this. We wanted to have one sequence, at least when we're starting out, one sequence that people go through. And so this is more just like a 5-way variation before like the second email everyone gets, I think is the same.
Yeah, the way I look at a lot of these sequences, especially with the webinar funnel, is if we're trying to keep people on track, people drop out at all different stages. They're like, oh, they didn't get around to watching it. Okay, get them back into watching it now, get them back on the regular sequence. Or they started watching but they didn't finish. Okay, different thing, get them back into watching it. Okay, now we send it, because people just get distracted. They have other stuff going on. Do you use retargeting for that as well?
100%, yeah. So with ActiveCampaign, you can create different retargeting audiences at different points. So it has been hugely effective for us in terms of boosting sales. And if you're not doing retargeting for your course business, you're leaving a pot of gold on the table. So it's one of the first things you should be doing after you get the ball rolling.
So that takes people through into the sales sequence. Then you close the cart on that. And then you mentioned you do launches as well.
Just before we do that, so with the authority site system, there's no payment plan offer at the start when that $5.99 discount is available. And we sort of toyed with the idea of, making it a payment plan front end, because that worked quite well for our other product. But I think for the beginner market, it was attracting a lot of people who are not so serious about it. And like, oh, I've only got $50 or $100 and I'm going to try it for a month, continue or whatever. So we have not tested this at all. So, just this is my anecdotal experience and nothing more. What we did was we appended a payment plan offer after the $5.99 offer had closed. So people got a $99 a month times however many months offer, but the only people would see that are people who had rejected and not bought the $5.99. So that way we didn't cannibalize potential $5.99 sales with payment plan sales there.
Okay.
So that's the start of that sequence. I believe that's probably not the best way to do it, but it's how we've got it set up at the moment.
Okay, so Authority Hacker Pro, its payment plan is the default, and in full is kind of the just mentioned lightly. An Authority Site System, you charge in full, and then if they don't buy, then you move to the payment plan afterwards. Okay.
Correct. Yes. And then in an ideal world, what we do next after that is we would have a ton of automated value emails and a whole sequence going out. But honestly, we don't have that set up yet. And we've been doing this 5 years. So people just go into a bucket and we send them emails every so often. You know, we produce quite a lot of content. We have a weekly podcast. We're making blog posts, YouTube videos and stuff all the time. So there's regular-ish content is going out, just being blasted out to those people. And then 2-3 times a year, we'll do an Authority Hacker Pro launch, which is usually around a week or so, planned event where, you know, really put a lot of energy into it. There'll be build up content to that being released. We, you know, mention it on all our podcasts and other channels as well. We have all our affiliates promoting it, and yeah, it's kind of like a big event. And so that will be open for a week to 10 days, depend. And that's actually the only time you can buy Authority Hacker Pro, our advanced course. You cannot buy it the other times. Now, again, this is one of these things, like I'm not 100% sure if this is the best way to be running things, because there's an argument to be said that if someone wants to buy it, we're not at the moment giving them an opportunity to do that. The flip side of that, of course, is that it creates a lot of demand and scarcity based marketing, which we know for a fact that people respond to very well. So we've kind of trained our audience in a way that if we say that something, the offer is going away, the launch is closing on Tuesday at 9 a.m., we mean it. If you email us at 10 a.m., we're not going to sell it to you. And so people kind of know that. And so when we do the launch, it tends to do really, really, really well, especially coming up to the end of the launch when, you know, it's going away and it's not going to be back for another 6 months or so.
I find there's a few that, like, the crucial thing with courses that I don't think everybody fully believes or gets or wants to believe is scarcity and urgency is really important. If you're doing a done for you service, you know, you're doing building services or you mow people's lawns, scarcity and urgency is not a big deal. If you're selling courses, scarcity and urgency really matters. And there's a few ways I've seen that work for having that. And one is you just normally have it at a much higher price. And the second one is you only have it available at certain times of the year. You can only buy it during this launch. And then that gets people really excited. And then the third one is where you can always buy it and it's a reduced price, but we're going to add in a load of bonuses if you get it at this particular time. And I definitely see with launches, the one that works the best is it's actually, you can't get it next week. It's not available, but that kind of freaks some people out. Mostly what I see is if you have it available at a higher price on your site, you'll sell almost none most of the time. So it's like just a way of saying this is an anchoring price, and that's kind of it. So I think that there's not much harm in the it goes away or in the, you know, outrageous price normally or whatever, you know, but that's really interesting.
I think that brings up an interesting point as well. It depends on your product position. So Authority Hacker Pro is relatively expensive course, you know, $2,500. It's not a impulse decision for most people.
Yeah.
It takes them a long time of getting to know our brand, myself, Gail. A lot of our customers watch us or listen to our podcast every week. So they kind of get to know us over a period of time. And so they kind of get to know and get to trust us that way. I think because there's that long kind of sales cycle, we can afford to kind of position the course as like, you know, it's going away. This is the only time you can get it because people follow us for a period of time. If we were, you know, going really hard on Facebook ads and we had, you know, a $99 course that people would buy more as an impulse, perhaps that approach might not work because people are buying the first time they're exposed to us in that case. So I would just be a little bit careful if I was, you know, at the other end of the market about how I approach that.
And do you run Facebook ads in the front end to your webinar funnel?
No.
Okay.
We've done it in the past, and basically what happens is we'll hire a Facebook ads guy or someone will come in and assist us. We'll get a bunch of new creatives. We'll start a new campaign. It'll be really successful. Then we'll start to grow it, or we'll start to try and scale it, and then we'll end up spending all our profit. And then by the time we sort of are below break even. We're like, oh, we need to redo all the ads and, restart again. Oh, we might as well just stop it. So I think there's a space in here for doing cold traffic front end Facebook ads to the webinar, but the size of our market is also quite small. So we're, I think, relatively limited in the number of, in how big we can do that. So we need to curtail our aspirations for scaling that side of things too much. Where I think lead magnet type mini funnels planned for this year and next year, where we'll be offering different type of different content, more like specialist stuff. So maybe like a specific link building thing, or a content marketing thing, or whatever. Running offers, running ads to that in the hope that people will buy a kind of a Tripwire product, maybe 50 to 200.
So driving ads into a lead magnet Tripwire funnel was something you're going to be working on.
Yeah. So I've seen firsthand in other businesses how well that works. The cheapest thing we sell is $600. So I think, Facebook ads at scale could work more with that kind of a range when we have upsell path in place beyond that.
It's interesting. Like, our favorite model by far for helping people to get the front end funnels set up is lead magnets into a Tripwire funnel. So Tripwire up at, normally we start at $17. That's like our default starting price, because that seems to work the most often. Other prices generally will then experiment kind of from there, go into an upsell and probably a second upsell. And some people find that a bit annoying, having two upsells in a row, but it's like when you're spending money on traffic, it's really important that you can get a good return on that. Set up email sequences to kind of keep people on track through that thing. And then from there, they go into a webinar funnel. And the part of the reason that we do that is because it's harder to get a webinar funnel really cranking than it is to get a Tripwire funnel working well enough to make some of your money back. So we always start that way, and then we'll kind of look at, okay, if we're driving ads in, do we go to the lead magnet? Do we go straight to the Tripwire, or do we go into the webinar? Like, which one is the place to go into? Now, you've already got the webinar funnel working, and then it hasn't kind of worked out. So it's like, oh, that's interesting as like a way around of doing it.
We've kind of done it the wrong way around. So
some Facebook ads guys I know, like a lot of Facebook ads people I know, actually tend to be much preferring having a webinar funnel to drive ads into than a Tripwire funnel, because they tend to make the money back quite quickly. They convert more. But cost per lead for webinars keeps going up. So you've got the front end webinar funnel. Do you have other lead magnets besides the webinar?
No. This is like an obvious thing we should have been doing, but no, we've been running for 5 years with no others in there.
What do you know? Like, I'm just looking on your site. What do you have on the blogs themselves? Do you link off from the blog to the free training, or do you have no links particularly?
Yeah, there's a welcome mat on most of the blog posts where it's sign up for the free training, which goes to the webinar. There's some, I think we have some exit intent on there on desktop, and there's a mobile pop-up, just a standard. Well, we use OptIns Monster for all that stuff. And it works okay. When we first started doing it, when our site was really small, we had just the most insane opt-in rates on some of our content. We were like tailoring them all individually and stuff. We had a lot of, I think at one point our opt-in rate across our whole site was about 8% for maybe like 6 months or so, which was, ridiculous. But as the site's grown, obviously it's like a loyal core group of people who like were very interested in like specific technical stuff. But as the site's gotten broader and our content starts to appeal to more people, that number's come down a bit. I want to say we're about 2% or just under site-wide. So I think the next steps there would be to start doing more tailored, maybe category specific opt-ins. A lot of our content work quite well with content upgrades. So we're even thinking about incorporating that into our podcast as well, where we'll maybe do like 10 ways to improve your link building. And, you can get like a bonus 2 at the end of it if you sign up and use that as a kind of content upgrade. Actually, just on the topic of podcasting. So because we're speaking a lot and we can't necessarily like flash links to people. What we did is we registered authorityhackertraining.com, and then we just 301 redirect that to the webinar sign up page. So when we're mentioning it on the podcast, it's much easier just to like come off, it flows off the lips a bit easier, and people don't have to remember like a super long, /LPs-webinar or whatever to get it. So that actually works quite well as well.
Nice. And just for, if you're listening to this and you're thinking 2%, is that good? Is that bad? Like, how does that fit in? The most common kind of percentage we see of number of people who subscribe, who get onto the list compared to the number of visitors is about 0.5 to 1%. Really good is 2%, excellent is 5%, and the highest we've ever got with any of our clients is up to 8%, like Mark was saying, it was at before. So that's the kind of range. Nearly everybody is terrible at this. And it's one of the most exciting things I see whenever I talk to people of like, oh, you could 10 times the number of leads you're getting in if you do these 5 things. It's just, I love it. So much fun seeing managing to get that up.
It's such an obvious low-hanging fruit for us as well. Like it was literally like the other day, I was just resetting up all the opt-in monster to Google Analytics goal tracking because it wasn't working and stuff. And I was just looking at some of the stats like, man, honestly, a few weeks in this would really like move the needle significantly. But what I would say as well is that the broader your site goes and the more kind of like general info content you have, it's just natural that your conversion rate, your opt-in rate is going to get lower as you get people, not reading long stuff, just browsing and kind of getting the feel-good content from you. So it's often hard to just compare yourself. So, you gave some good number ranges there, but if you're not achieving that, then it's not necessarily that you have bad opt-ins. It just could be like the type of traffic you have or your industry as well.
So people go through this sign-ups through Opt-in Monster. They can sign up to the free training. The free training funnel works great. You're doing the launches a couple of times a year. Now you do it, is it twice a year for each of those courses that you're doing those?
No, so the authority site system is just, whenever people sign up, they get pitched that once. And then we did like a New Year sale. It's quite a good time for that course. A lot of New Year's resolution type people are into it. We didn't do it last year. Sometimes we do Black Friday sales as well. I'm not convinced that that's actually the best time to do sales on this stuff for us, just because there's a lot of competition. The quality of people coming in is like, very, very high refund rate from Black Friday customers. We've experimented at other times with doing, weekend sales for tasks, but there's no actual other than that, those things, there's no fixed schedule in the funnel for it. There's no like, what we want to do is 100 days later after seeing that offer and after seeing a bunch of our content, our free content, then maybe pitch it to them again. For Authority Hacker Pro, we just say, okay, we want to do a launch, in April at this time or September at this time. And then we'll, cut off everything or sending content around that launch to everyone at the same time then, but it's not baked into the funnel.
Got it. It's fascinating. I see a lot of people who they feel like if they're going to do another promotion, they're going to do another launch, they have to create this whole load of new content. And what we do sometimes, we'll go in with a client and be like, for a quick win, we'll just go, we're going to run your front end webinar funnel promotion to your existing list who have all been pitched it before. And then they'll make like 30 grand or something out of it. It's just like, just the exact same set of emails, the exact same webinar, the exact same sequence. They're thinking, but it's on my site. They could go and watch this anytime. It's like, well, but they don't, because now you're telling them to.
I think a lot of business owners, we do it ourselves, is because we're so familiar with all the products we offer and our marketing and, how many videos are in it and all the features and benefits for each one. We assume that everyone on our email list is reading and opening and checking out all the emails, when in fact, most people are not really. They might have a quick scan through it, but you have to be careful that you don't make your business too complex. You can literally run, as you said, the same email sequence with the same subject lines to the same people who have received it, sometimes 2 or 3 times. And it's going to work better than trying to come up with something brand new, just because the conversion rate of the email or the open rate of the email from last time. And that worked really well. So it's like, well, I have to come up with something new, but the new thing just by default of not being that high converting thing isn't going to work as well. So you have to think about it from that perspective as well.
Yeah, I got a friend, he's got 12 courses, he's got a front-end tripwire funnel, and then he does a promotion every week for one of his courses for 12 weeks, and then he starts again. And he does the same, his content for 3 days, promotion for 3 days. Next week, content, and it's just the same site again and again. It just keeps working. It's like, nobody reads the emails, so a lot of people don't read them. So I could just send the same thing, and the people who didn't read it last time, well, now they can read it. It's great.
Yeah, a lot of like very, very high ticket or very, very successful info product seller. Ramit Sethi is another example. He basically has the same funnel set up with loads of different courses, and it works. So I think we as business owners tend to overcomplicate sometimes to our own detriment.
So how are you driving traffic into this whole system? You've got the podcast. I'm guessing you do a lot on SEO because that's a big part of what you're teaching.
Yeah.
What's the traffic in?
That's it really. So we have our YouTube channel. Our podcast is on our YouTube channel. We're not YouTubers. We don't really push the channel so much. To be honest, we use our YouTube channel as more of like a free video hosting, and then we'll like embed the YouTube video in a blog post, and we'll make a tutorial of that and push the blog post's SEO so that we don't have to create the same content again and again. It's like Gail and I can make a video, and then our team can extrapolate the blog post from that, and we can get, the whole SEO process rolling from that. That kind of augments our time more effectively, I guess. But that's it. I read, I think it was again Ramit Sethi said this, like just focus on one product or one type of product and one source of traffic. Don't, try and master Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and whatever else. When I read that, we had a podcast and a blog. So I was like, well, we might as well keep going with both. But I'm a big fan on the more wood behind fewer arrows mentality when it comes to this.
Yeah, for our business, we do content and relationship building. And that's like our two things that we're like, we're good at them. We like that. Great. And I'm like, I wouldn't want to stop either one of them, but I'm sure if I just did one, it would be fine, totally fine. But I like doing both of these. Cool, let's do that. That works well.
You also, now that I'm thinking of it, have an affiliate program as well. So we have affiliates promoting our offers. Again, though, I look at some people in our industry who go like full steam on the affiliate side and are hosting like weekly JV webinars and all this stuff. We don't do any of that. We'd literally just have an affiliate program, and people can send traffic to our funnel or promote our launches. And we have a few, big size or medium to large size guys in our space promoting us, so that works quite well. But if we didn't have the affiliate program, it wouldn't kind of negatively affect us too much, I would say. So
I wanted to dig a little bit more into your webinar. Obviously, the actual webinar itself is like a crucial part of the whole webinar funnel. If the webinar's not good, then the whole thing doesn't work. Did you use a framework or anything like the perfect webinar structure or anything like that when you put it together?
Yeah, the perfect webinar structure. Yeah, that's exactly the one we use. So we have like the value stacking bit when we're pitching the product. One thing that works quite well is we have a goodie bag with a bunch of templates, and there's a few free lessons and free videos which we give away, but you have to stay to the end to get that. We just focus on delivering as much value in the first hour as possible and try not to hold anything back. Personally, Gail and I, we both hate this kind of 20 minutes of like teasing you and, trying to like spike your emotions. And maybe that actually works better, but we prefer just to say like, oh, here's everything you need to know. Here's actually how to do it in an actionable way. We don't spend too much time, with the hero journey or our own kind of terrible situation stories or anything like that. We just like, yeah, I'm Mark, I'm Gail. This is what we do. And okay, let's teach you some stuff.
So that was all amazing. I've got a couple of wrap-up questions for you. What resources, whether it's online groups or masterminds or books or anything, have you found really helpful for learning about online courses and creating your marketing for them?
Oh, that is a million dollar question, really. Like, I got to be honest, I'm not in any mastermind. I'm not in any Facebook groups or communities that explicitly are around online courses. I mean, obviously, we've been through and exposed to the Russell Brunson side of things. I've looked at the product launch funnel. Is it product launch I forget what it's called. Product launch, perfect launch. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. But again, like most of this stuff we were learning it back in the day when we were first setting it up. Since then, and since like we've found our product market fit, most of my learning comes from other business owners. So I met quite a few people through the Dynamite Circle, the DC, and with here in Europe, I met like a few people. One of them was in the DC, but most of the others were not, and they also have pretty successful course businesses. And so we wanted to have like a mastermind in Europe, so we didn't have to like travel over to the US or anything. So there's like 7 or 8 of us, and we didn't do it last year because of COVID and all that. Hopefully we can get it this year, but once or twice a year we'll meet up somewhere in Europe in person, and one of us will be hosting that one, and we'll just share what's working and pick each other's brains. And that has been the single biggest source of my learning over the last 2-3 years, way more than any like course, resource, or book. That being said, I'm also a big fan of Ramit Sethi's stuff. It can be a bit abstract at times. So maybe if you're like just getting started, that's not necessarily the step-by-step hand-holdy stuff that you need. But once you've gotten some traction, it can really give you some interesting kind of mindset tweaks to get you to the next level. So that's really my approach to learning.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I hear from a lot of people, is that they're learning more from others who are doing it than from any groups around this once you get past a certain level.
Yeah.
Great.
So actually, like to that extent, like going to conferences, not necessarily to like learn from the speakers, although there, you can pick up some good tips here and there, but to just network with people and chat to folk in the bar afterwards. And that's where all the like, the juicy stuff really comes out. So that's also a good idea.
I think the conference scene is going to go absolutely crazy when we're all allowed to go do it again. I'm going to end.
I can't wait.
Well, Mark, thanks so much for sharing everything with everybody today. That's been absolutely awesome. Love the work you guys are doing over at Authority Hacker, and really appreciate you taking the time to share it.
Thanks, John. Great to be here. Appreciate it.